Hi everybody, I'm Zilla Blitz and welcome. Today we're going to do an overview of Gettysburg A Time for Heroes, designed by Yves Roig and Andy Loakes and published by Worthington Publishing. This is a two-player game of the Battle of Gettysburg, playable in under 2 hours. Let's jump in and take a look. Let's do an overview of the game before we dig into the components. Published in 2025, Gettysburg A Time for Heroes is a two-player game that recreates the 3 days of Gettysburg at the divisional core level. The back of the box lists gameplay length as 1 to 2 hours, and 2 hours feels about right if you end up playing all the turns. The shorter length games would likely be the result of an early automatic win by either side, and we'll talk more about those victory conditions as we explore the components. The historical length of the game is 3 days, and turn length is a half day, so the game consists of 6 half-day turns. But each of those half-day turns is broken up into 2 to 4 activations per side, so really you're looking at about 18 different activations per side in the game. Unit size in the game is listed as formations, and it's largely a blend of both divisions and corps. And there aren't a lot of units in the game. The Union only has 7 units, and the Confederate forces only have 9. Let's now explore some of the mechanics. First up, the map is a point-to-point representation of the battlefield, with about 30 locations that you'll be moving units through. The game is also card-driven and card-assisted. You'll be playing cards to activate various units under your command, and using tactics cards to assist with combat and some other gameplay elements. We mentioned this earlier, but it's good to reiterate the larger scale approach used in this game and the low unit density. Blocks represent the formations for both sides, and there are only 16 of them in the game. Each of your unit's strength is measured in a couple of ways. Cohesion represents the overall energy and effectiveness of your units, and is depleted both in combat and when activating a unit for movement. Take care with cohesion, as when a unit's cohesion gets to a lower level, it must pass cohesion checks or be wiped out from the battle. Another factor of strength is measured by how many dice a given unit can use in combat, and the game resolves combat with dice chucking. Units have a set number of dice they can use, and this can be modified by a number of factors: terrain, enemy defensive redoubts, and force momentum, which can give attackers a reroll capacity. There are a few elements of fog of war in the game. You don't know the cards your opponent is holding, so that information is hidden. And although the general strength of units is known, you know their cohesion, players can shift around reinforcements in a way that makes it hard to be certain of the exact strength of your enemy's units. Let's now take a look at the rulebooks. The game comes with 2 identical rulebooks, which is always an appreciated touch. It's 18 pages long. This is a fairly quick rule set to read through. Most of the time I do an overview video for games, I do an overview video before I actually get to play the game. But in this case, I got a chance to play the 2-player game before doing the overview, so I can offer a few deeper thoughts on the rules. And I think it's fair to say that while we both felt reading the rules was straightforward, we did find executing the rules a bit challenging. We spent about an hour or so at first trying to sort out some answers to questions that came up pretty quickly. Now, I will say I'll talk more about this in an upcoming impressions video, but I can also say that once we got going, things picked up nicely and we were able to overcome all of the obstacles we initially encountered with the rule set. As for complexity, I'd give this a 3.5 out of 10 with an extra half point attached because you're going to battle the rules a bit at first. Once you get going, the overall complexity is more of a 2.5 or a 3 out of 10. Solitaire-wise, the hidden cards and the way reinforcements can mask unit strength make this a less than ideal solo game. The focus is clearly on 2 players. Having said that, it's pretty straightforward to play both sides as a solo game. I'd give the solitaire rating of this one probably a 4.5 out of 10. Now, as far as scenarios go, there is only the main game, although there are some optional rules that can be folded into gameplay as you play more frequently. I do think, however, that the game will have a good bit of depth, as there are a lot of different approaches to strategy and tactics as you play. Let's shift over now to our blocks and counters. Now, military units in the game are represented by the 16 blocks that we can see right here. Here are the 9 butternut-colored Confederate forces and the 7 Union forces. Now, these blocks are roughly 1 inch wide by 3/8 of an inch high, and the unit names are baked into the blocks, so there's no stickers to put on. You'll also note that there isn't any numerical information on the units. Unit strength and cohesion are modeled by a unit graphic on the game map, and we'll take a look at that when we explore the map in a bit. We also have some blocks for tracking game functions. These black blocks here are momentum cubes, which you gain as you activate units. And you spend these blocks to buy tactics cards that can be used in a variety of ways in gameplay. And you can also use them as one of two ways to re-roll your attack dice in combat. Now the blue and the butternut cubes here are trackers for unit cohesion, and we'll show how they work in a bit. And then these darker brown blocks are defensive readouts, which are built on positions on the map to strengthen the unit's defensive capacity. And lastly, we have these two white blocks that are used to track victory points and the game turn marker. Lastly, we have two types of counters. These are victory point markers, which are placed on the map when a Confederate force gains control of a key location in the battlefield. And then these numerical counters are used to track adjustments you can make to shore up the strength of weakened units by pulling strength from a stronger unit. And this information, when you play these, they're flipped over, so it's largely kept secret until the rules dictate that it must be shown to your opponent. So this is one of the two fog of war elements of gameplay. Let's take a look at the two types of cards in the game. First, in front of us now we can see some of the unit activation cards. Players will have a few of these cards in their hand each turn, and you alternate playing them to activate specific formations in the game. So basically the Confederate player starts by activating some of his formations with one of the cards, then the Union player is going to go and play alternates back and forth like that. Now, as an example, if we take a look at this Johnson activation card, playing this card allows the Confederate player to activate the Johnson formation at the top here as a major activation, so they would have two actions, and then Early and McLaws as minor activations, which only get one activation when activated. And the black boxes down here at the bottom indicate how many momentum cubes you gain when you play this card. The game also comes with 45 tactics cards, and this is the card-assisted element of gameplay. These cards come with their own instructions right on the card, and that specifies what happens when you play them and when in the game you're allowed to play them. Now the number down here at the bottom is the cost in momentum cubes to purchase the card at the end of a player activation. As a couple of examples, this Tide of Battle card allows you to restore 1 point of cohesion on an attacking unit that forced the defending unit to retreat. And this Spirited card negates the cohesion cost you'd normally have to pay when activating a unit. I really liked the variety and creativity of these cards. It was fun to play one at exactly the right time to get maximum impact on the battlefield. I should also add that these cards are high quality vinyl, which is great to see, as I think they're going to get a lot of use when you're playing the game. Let's talk a bit about the dice in the game. The dice are used for combat, not movement, and only the attacking unit rolls the dice in combat. Now, the number of dice rolled is determined by the attacking unit, with most units rolling 5 or 6 dice. This number of dice rolled can be modified by terrain and tactics cards, however. Now, when you roll, double 1s and double 2s result in cohesion point losses to the attacker, and 4s, 5s, or 6s, doubles, 4, 5s, or 6s, result in losses to the defender. And the attacker can re-roll any number of dice by expending 3 momentum cubes to do so, or by reducing the attacking unit's cohesion by 1 point. And the defender can use readouts to lock a particular die roll into a result they want before the attacker even rolls their dice. Now, all in all, this is a system that works to resolve combat quickly, and I thought it had some interesting decisions for both sides for modifying results, even though the defender isn't the one rolling the dice. Last but not least, let's take a look at our 22-inch by 34-inch mounted map. Like everything else in the game, the quality here is excellent. I mean, there's thick, stable mounting and very clear design. Now, in many ways, this is also a dual-purpose map. We've got the geographic area here in the middle, and then the surrounding areas are in what many games would be independent player aids. On the left and the right here, we've got the areas for card and victory condition and turn management. And then on the tops and the bottoms here, we've got the unit cohesion trackers for both sides. If we take a closer look at the map section here, we can see the arrows and the lines connecting various points on the map. Zooming in closer, we can see that the arrowheads are different colors, which indicates the dice penalties or bonuses you get when attacking from that direction. Black means no effect, red means that you roll 1 less attacking die, and green means that you roll 2 additional attacking dice. So for example, if we had this situation here and Heth was attacking Reynolds on Cemetery Hill here, The Confederates would roll one less attacking die because of the red arrow. This is probably a good time to mention that stacking in the game is 2 friendly units per area, but since casualties are suffered by both units in the space, it's generally a better idea to only have 1 unit in a space. Some of these points are victory point locations, and that brings us to how each side wins the game. The Confederate forces can win by taking control of a specified number of victory point locations at different points in the game. For example, they can win in the first turn if they control just 3 victory point locations. This puts pressure on the Union player to get units forward to block Confederate advances, and the number of victory points the Confederates need to win increases as the game continues. Either side can also win by eliminating a specified number of enemy formations, and if neither side wins by the end of the game, it's considered a draw. Let's take a look at the unit cohesion trackers. There's 1 such tracker for each unit for each side, so 9 for the Confederates and 7 for the Union forces. At the start of the game, you place your tracking block at the top of the tracker, and then as units expend cohesion points to do things like move, take casualties, or commit to attack rerolls, you lower the cube to indicate the new level. And when the unit hits 5, cohesion of 5 or less, you actually have to start rolling to see if the unit is eliminated from the game. You're doing cohesion checks at that point. Down below here, we can see the number of dice that the attacking unit rolls in combat, and then these are the number of major activation cards in the game for that particular unit, and the number of minor activation cards in the game for that unit. All in all, I really like this system, and having these displays right on the map makes executing the system very efficient. I should also say it was really handy to have the card management spots around the sides of the game here. Setup was pretty quick and card management was a breeze. I think without this support, the game could be kind of clunky to execute, but having it set up this way made it very, very easy. So there you have it, a look at Gettysburg, A Time from Heroes from Worthington Publishing. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you've got them. And at some point I'll be creating a sample of gameplay video for the game, and I'll link it here when it is ready to go. Thanks everybody for watching. Have a great day.